heck is this? Hey, come over here. Take a look at this. What is it? That's a skeleton.
The year was 1871. In the small town of Cayuga, Canada, a group of men, Nathaniel Wardell, Orrin Wardell, and Daniel Fradenberg, were digging on his farm when they stumbled upon something utterly mind-blowing. At first, they were amazed when they found very large bones and ancient artifacts. Fueled by intrigue, the men continued digging into the night. They soon realized they were digging up the skeletal remains of what can only be described as giants. Massive warriors, some of them up to 9 feet tall. The article calls them Anakim, referring to the giants in the Old Testament, and states that only very few of the skeletons were under 7 feet tall. This sparked so much attention that in the spring of 1871, the Toronto Daily Telegraph, as well as other newspapers, reported the astonishing discovery. The article states the following: 200 skeletons of Anakim in Cayuga Township. A singular discovery, some remains of the giants that were in those days. Toronto Telegraph, Cayuga, August 21st. On Wednesday last, Reverend Nathaniel Wardell, Messrs. Orrin Wardell of Toronto and Daniel Fradenberg were digging on the farm of the latter gentleman, which is on the banks of the Grand River in the township of Cayuga. When they got to 5 or 6 feet below the surface, a strange sight met them. Piled in layers, one upon top another, some 200 skeletons of human beings, nearly perfect, around the neck of each one being a string of beads. There were also deposits in the pit, a number of axes, skimmers made of stone. In the jaws of several of the skeletons were large stone pipes, one of which Mr. O. Wardell took with him to Toronto a day or two after this Golgotha was unearthed. These skeletons are those of men of gigantic stature, some of them measuring 9 feet. Very few of them being less than 7 feet. Some of the thigh bones were found to be at least half a foot longer than those at present known, and one of the skulls being examined completely covered the head of an ordinary person. These skeletons are supposed to belong to those of a race of people anterior to the Indians. Some 3 years ago, the bones of a mastodon were found embedded in the earth about 6 miles from this spot. The pit and its ghastly occupants are now open to the view of any who wish to make a visit there. There is not the slightest doubt that this is the remains of a lost city on this farm. At various times within the past year, the remains of mud houses and their chimneys have been found. And there are dozens of pits of a similar kind to that were just unearthed, though much smaller, in the place which has been discovered before through the fact that has not been made public. The remains of a blacksmith shop containing 2 tons of charcoal and various implements were turned up a few months ago. The farm, which consists of 150 acres, has been cultured for nearly a century, and was covered with a thick growth of pine, so that it must have been ages ago since the remains were deposited there. The skulls of the skeletons are of an enormous size and of all manner of shapes, about half as large again as are now to be seen. The teeth in most of them are still in the most perfect state of preservation, though they soon fall out when exposed to the air. It is supposed that there is gold or silver in large quantities to be found in the premises, as mineral rods have been invariably, when tested, pointed to a certain spot and a few yards from there where the last batch of skeletons was found, directly under the apple tree. Some large shells supposed to have been used for holding water, which were found in the pit, were almost petrified. There is no doubt that were there a scheme of exploration carried on thoroughly, the results would be highly interesting. A good deal of excitement exists in the neighborhood, and many visitors call at the farm daily. The skulls and bones of the giants are fast disappearing, being taken away by curiosity hunters. So it says the skulls and bones of the giants are fast disappearing, being taken away by curiosity hunters. It is the intention of Mr. Fradenberg to cover the pit up very soon. The pit is ghastly in the extreme. The farm is skirted on the north by the Grand River. The pit is close to the banks, but marks are there to show the gold and silver treasure is supposed to be under. From the appearance of the skulls, it would seem that their possessors died in a violent death, as many of them were broken and dented. The axes are shaped like tomahawks, small but keen instruments. The beads are all of stone and of all sizes and shapes. The pipes are not unlike in shape the cuddy pipe, and several of them are engraved with dogs' heads. They have not lost their virtue for smoking. Some people profess to believe that the locality of Fradenberg Farm was formerly an Indian burial place, but the enormous stature of the skeletons and the fact that pine trees of centuries' growth covered the spot go far to disprove this idea. The discovery of one 9-foot skeleton could maybe be considered a rare case of gigantism, but 200 giant skeletons tells us this is a forgotten race of warriors that have been left out of our history books. The same giants that indigenous people have tales about. Although modern academia doesn't pay much attention to these legends or give them any credit, there are so many native legends that speak of a giant race of people that were in North America many years ago. Like the famous Lovelock Cave giants in Nevada, the Paiute Indians had the stories of a red-headed race of giants who they had wars with and eventually defeated them. Or the tales from the Comanche chief Rolling Thunder, who spoke about the race of giants who once ruled the land. Also the Navajo Indians, who have the legends of the fair-skinned giants who they called the people of Starnake. There are hundreds of accounts of giant skeletons that have been found all over North America, and many believe that this has been covered up. But what about the 200 skeletons in Cayuga? After doing some research, we discovered that Daniel Fradenberg was a real person who owned a farm in Cayuga by the Grand River, and Orrin Wardell did live in Toronto and was a successful businessman. It begs the question, why would a farmer or a businessman create a hoax like this? Would performing a prank benefit Orrin Wardell's career? Why would Daniel Fradenberg want strangers sneaking around his farm digging for artifacts, bones, and treasures? But the biggest question on everyone's mind is, where are the skeletons? In the article, it states that most of the skeletons were taken by curiosity hunters and locals, but no formal account of these remarkable giant skeletons are mentioned anywhere else. Could some residents in Cayuga or the surrounding areas still have knowledge of the whereabouts of these bones? Could some of these giant bones be in the possession of one of the locals, passed down through generations? More investigation is needed to get to the bottom of this. For those who believe the native legends of giants, this lost city held the proof. But the mystery of the giant skeletons in Cayuga remains one of the most fascinating and eerie tales of giants in Canadian history. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time, right here on Ancient Giant Mysteries.